Camden, New Jersey once had one of the most spectacular waterfront baseball stadiums in America. Unfortunately, in 2018, they decided to tear it down and shortly after replaced it with way crappier fields. And you may be wondering, why would they do that? And I'm wondering the same thing. But this video is going to look into why they did that, if there was any justification for it, or if it was just bad decisions from the start. Before we look at the details of Campbell's field itself, we need to take a step back and look at what was going on in Camden, New Jersey in the 1990s and what compelled some people to want to build this baseball stadium on the riverfront. So in 1990s, Camden was coming off of 2 consecutive decades of major population loss. Like many cities in the Rust Belt and up the east coast of the United States, it had been hit hard by deindustrialization, and there was all kinds of problems, population loss, crime, etc. So city officials turned to the good old urban redevelopment playbook, and they settled on 2 of the most common redevelopment ideas and decided to go with them. And those 2 choices would be waterfront redevelopment and a sports venue. Unfortunately, they didn't have a sports team, so they built this baseball stadium for a team that eventually would be a unaffiliated minor league baseball team, the Camden Riversharks. Construction began on the stadium in 1999 and was expected to cost around $30 million. It opened in 2001 and got really positive reviews, both from the baseball world and from the economic redevelopment world. For a while, it looked like everything was going well, but unfortunately, minor league baseball is not that lucrative of a business, particularly in a place like Camden, New Jersey. And by the mid-2010s, the Camden Riversharks were starting to have financial troubles. By 2015, they had shut down permanently. And unfortunately for the stadium, this kind of sealed its fate as well. Without a primary tenant and basically just colleges, local colleges playing a few games here and there at the stadium, it was really hard to justify keeping it open. So for a few years, it sat there while people debated what should be done with it. Eventually, the decision was made to tear down the stadium and with some vague plans to replace it with an athletic complex for Rutgers Camden's sports program, which eventually did happen, and the demolition took place in 2018, and then the athletic complex was built a few years after that. Right now, we're passing the old site of where Campbell's Field used to stand. As you can see, we're underneath the Ben Franklin Bridge, and then off in the distance is the Philadelphia skyline. The fields that are there now look okay. There's nothing wrong with them. There's some nice bathrooms and maybe a concession stand, some transformers, but it's kind of a major disappointment to me, particularly as a minor league baseball fan and a fan of the unique minor league fields that are all around this country, to see a stadium like Campbell's Field that was so cool and had such a neat backdrop, to have it turned into this is kind of a big letdown. Now, the people who were in favor of demolishing the stadium, a lot of them brought up the point that it's impractical to have a professional baseball stadium when you don't have a professional team to play there. And that's a totally valid point. The problem is that that's something they should have thought of before they invested $35 million, a big portion of that, which was taxpayer dollars, into a stadium in a city they would struggle to support a minor league team. The city has been rapidly losing population. It's not necessarily known for being a big hub of baseball. And right across the river is the Phillies. So if you're in Philadelphia, chances are good you're going to go to the Philadelphia Phillies game rather than go across into Camden to watch an unaffiliated minor league team play. as beautiful as the stadium was, it seems like anybody with half a brain should have seen this coming, and it's unfortunate that it turned out the way it did. One of the people who even was involved in the initial build quoted the Kevin Costner line, "If you build it, they will come," from the Field of Dreams. It's a great movie, but it doesn't necessarily make for the best business plan. Camden, New Jersey's population is only like 65,000, and the stadium held 6,500. So you're talking about having a tenth of the city's population turn out to fill the stadium. In more rural areas, you may be able to bank on people from the surrounding areas coming to the games. But in a place like Camden, that seems like a stretch, particularly at the time when it was notoriously one of the most dangerous places in America. So it really, your only fan base is that you can reliably count on would be Camden residents. Now, that just seems like a terrible idea from the beginning. And again, this is coming from someone who's a big baseball fan, particularly minor leagues. So I don't say this because I'm opposed to building minor league stadiums. It's just, it would be nice if public officials would think before they spent tens of millions of dollars of money that was not theirs. So that's pretty much the end of the story. There's still a little bit of outstanding debt that's still owed, and it's not really clear who's going to be on the hook for that, but my guess is the taxpayers. This new facility was built for, I think, something like $7 million, and then you also had the demolition costs, so probably a total of about $10 million to undo the mistake that they originally did. So what do you think? Do you think that it was a good idea, just poor execution, or do you think it was just a good idea all the way around and I'm being too harsh on the project and the city officials who were involved in it? Let me know. Thanks again for watching. Please like and subscribe and share. That would be very much appreciated. I've been trying to branch out just a little bit, do a little bit more on the YouTube channel, which is now called Development Tales. The goal is to branch out a little bit beyond the content that I've been doing on Development Fails on the Instagram page and have a little bit more variety. And as I get a little bit better at editing these videos and putting them together, hopefully they'll be a little bit more informative and a little bit more entertaining. So stay tuned for more videos like this and hopefully better than this. But yeah, if you can subscribe, that would be incredibly helpful, and it'll help support both this channel and it'll support, you know, me doing work on the Development Fails side of things. So that's all I got.